Hello there and welcome to Work to Game. My name's Brian, and one of the things that I'm hoping this video can accomplish is break down what all is included in Final Fantasy XIV, both the good and the bad and perhaps the weird, so that ideally you can answer the question for you and your family. Is this game safe for the family? Is this game safe for kids? What all is included with it? Obviously you can probably see the ESRB rating, but I just really want to break down everything that I've seen, witnessed, and experienced to give you guys all the information that you could possibly have to make your decision for you. Now, before we begin, one of the things I do want to highlight is this game has an unlimited free trial. Pretty much you should go check this out if you have not already. The reason you want to check this out is it lets you level up all of the starting jobs up to level 35. No subscription required, no payment required whatsoever. So if this is an evaluation period, go check out the unlimited subscription first. Do that, and I think you'll be very happy that you did. It's really a great game, and it will give you a good idea of everything's to come, even though it's just kind of really a small slice at this point. I've heard rumors they might even expand it higher in level, so just keep that in mind. We'll have to see how that plays out in the long run. The reason you want to check out the free trial is this game is a subscription-based MMO. Once you purchase the game, once you purchase the base game of Final Fantasy A Realm Reborn, you can buy all of Stormblood, you can buy the whole thing, but if you just get the base package, at that point, after your first month, you're going to have a subscription to this game. It ranges in price from, I think, $12.99 to $14.99 or $15.99, depending on your country. Obviously, that price can vary as well. So just keep that in mind. To continue to play the game, you have to be subscribed. Now, you can let that subscription lapse. That's not going to be an issue because your character and all your progress is still going to be there waiting for you when you get back, with the exception, the one exception, if you have a house. If you purchase land and have a house in this game, after a certain period of time, that will expire, and you will be getting some of that back, some of the funds back, but you will lose access to your house. And so just keep that in mind. That is the one, I guess, caveat there. So a typical question I'm often asked is how soon or what age should somebody be before they start getting into Final Fantasy XIV Online? And obviously that's going to vary by person to person off of a maturity level, as well as skills in handling either the controller or the keyboard. By the way, this game supports both. It runs on PS4 as well as PC and Mac as well. Maybe watch out for the Mac client. It does seem to have some issues. So all that being said, is it's going to vary. Now, my 5-year-old is pretty much running around the world, exploring. She's getting and working with the controller from a size perspective, because I would say the Nintendo Switch is the best place for her to hold, but this game doesn't run on Switch. The PS4 seems to be a much better controller for her to use. And then finally, the Xbox is a little bit too big. An Xbox One controller is a little bit too big for her hand. So obviously there's going to be some the physical differences between children, and so you kind of have to play that by ear. The game is supported by keyboard and mouse, but she does not yet have those skills as well. So there is going to be a skill gap depending on what kind of control scheme you're interested in either teaching or working with them on. Now, that's not to say she's playing the game. She's running around and she's enjoying herself. I would kind of rate this, depending on obviously the kid, anywhere from 7 to 9 would be an interesting and probably skill-wise starting point where holding their attention. There's a lot of text, a lot of reading. There's voice acting and especially cutscenes, but there's still a lot of reading. They do need to be able to kind of see the interface and kind of go about that. The game is rated T for teen, and we're going to go and break down how the ESRB has rated it and talk about the various content within it here just in a second. But from a skills perspective, you're going to obviously know better. Now, that doesn't mean you can't start them on it soon. That doesn't mean that you can't create another character if you're playing it yourself and have them start to get adjusted and acclimated to the control scheme, to the world itself. They'll have fun with it. You'll have fun with it. Maybe that would be a good first approach, especially if they're obviously under the age of 10. From there, though, content-wise, there is a lot that we want to break down because this game is rated T for teen, so you'd be thinking 13 and up. However, that again, you see people playing mature rated games at a younger age, and skill is a whole different thing. So let's talk about how the ESRB has rated this. So here's why the ESRB gives this a teen rating. It's got alcohol references, animated blood, language, suggestive themes, violence, and it also says their online interactions are not rated by the ESRB, and they really can't be. So let's talk about, at first, the online interactions. So Final Fantasy XIV is an online-only game. You have to have the internet to play, you have to be subscribed to play, and you're going to be interacting with many different players. Now, however, you can play most of the game solo, outside of like the raids and the various end game content. But if you're just here to experience the story, do some dungeons together, pretty much the dungeons are 4-man, and those are going to put you in various parts of the story to go actually play with other players. But for the story itself, the battles and all that, that is a single player experience. You kind of run that on your own. You explore the world, and it's going to level you all the way up to level cap as you play through the story. Later in the game, we do have a 24-man, we do have a 8-man, different types of content for various bosses, and then they still have 4-man dungeons. So you kind of see that 4, 8, and 24 piece, and that's where all the multiplayer aspects come into it. There is a PvP mode, but there is no open griefing. There is no, nobody's going to run up to you in the world and just murder you or something like that. It's literally you have to go into a specific area, you have to accept that you're going to duel somebody, and then you also have to go into the content for PvP as well. So it's pretty clean in that regards. The other interactions that can happen, obviously, are communications around boss and strategy. So if you do find yourself in a multiplayer mode, if your kid or your family, any of your family members is playing, just let people know that you're new. The community is very welcoming in this case. There are obviously exceptions to this. Sometimes there are always going to be exceptions where you can have a pretty negative experience, but in that regards, you can blacklist people, and you can do this under the social menu. You have a friends list. You have the also ability to blacklist people to kind of say, nope, not going to be interested in playing with them, not going to be interested in talking with them going forward. So take advantage of that feature, especially if you're concerned with the type of interactions. Now, if you're really concerned and you're worried about who they might run into in this game, you can always turn off all the various chat logs as well. This is going to take a little bit more work. There's no quick setting. We do cover some of this in various guides that we have on the channel. So if you're more interested in a way kind of to build this game to where your character, you're mute, you can't hear or interact with other people outside of NPCs, let me know and I can help out with that. But beyond that, though, the best thing I could actually recommend is playing this game together as a family. If you're worried about how they interact with people, play the game with them. Let them play with you. I've run into a lot of families who play this game together. Me and my wife played this game. As our kids grow up, they're probably going to play this game. We're probably going to play it as a family. So that way they can help learn and have fun and not have to worry about messing, or not necessarily messing up somebody else's day, but having kind of a bad interaction because maybe their skill level isn't up to what somebody else would expect of them when they're doing their what's called a roulette. And that's just a system in which that it gives you end game rewards or lots of experience for kind of helping out new players and going through and helping people get through the content as well. Now, also, again, this is an online game. You're going to see people out in the open world running around in various forms of dress. Now, one of the things I am actually really excited about is that there's a lot of really cool looking gear that you can acquire, and you can use glamours, which is essentially the way that you can kind of shade your armors. You can make your armor, whatever you're wearing, look like something else. It's like if you want to have a certain look or feel, that is the system they have, and it's called Glamorous. Unlocks around level 15 as you're playing the game. You should be able to experience this in the free trial. With the glamour system, though, obviously you'll see some exceptions where characters will be scantily clad. That is actually, I think, limited. I rarely run into it. Especially when the system first came out, I think there was maybe one or two, because there are swimsuits and things that you can unlock through different seasonal events in this game. However, it doesn't ever really seem to be an issue. In other games that I've seen and played, especially on the free-to-play side where there is no subscription, they have to get players to spend money, and the best way to seem to do that is with scantily clad female outfits. So there's not a lot of that running around here in Final Fantasy. It will happen. It will be, but in the sense that I don't remember the last time I had that kind of encounter, and it's been a few years. But we've seen people in various swimsuits doing a raid, and obviously they're wearing their magical armor, but it just looks like a swimsuit in this case. So I personally wouldn't, and I don't take any issue with it. I just want to make you aware of it. So regarding the violence and the language, even maybe the alcoholic references, I would say it's very, very minimal. I don't ever really notice any blood in this game. Violence is the fact that you are fighting enemies, monsters, other soldiers, even each other in PvP, and there's no gore, there's no dismembering. It is pretty benign in my opinion. It's typical. It's not an action RPG, but it's typical action. So you're slicing a sword or you're casting a spell, and it looks cool. Like for the most part, it's not focusing in on the violence per se. Their rating for violence is the fact that you are engaging and you're actively attacking something. So as long as you don't have an issue with that, you should be good. Now, language-wise, most of any kind of stuff would be hidden text. Again, like I said, this is like maybe a PG-13 would be kind of your movie equivalent rating for how the language is used. Yeah, most of it's literally going to be in text, so you have to go and read and understand that versus the voice acting pieces. There's not a lot of swearing. I don't even know if there is any swearing audibly in this game. If there is, it didn't even make an impact on me. So you're able to get the story and the context through the voice acting. Obviously, the text acting adds to the experience. And again, like I would say, PG-13. Nothing horrible. I mean, honestly, I don't even remember any swear words. They keep it pretty tame as far as it goes. Now, there is some alluding, and we're going to talk about that because obviously in this game there is a section in Ulda that has various like whores, and in that regards, it just feels weird talking about it. For the most part, it's just that there's nothing you can do with them. There's no you don't pay them gil, and there's no form of like transaction or anything like that. It's just that the game will allude, the game will add flavor text. The game likes to do a lot of puns within the text and within the conversation. I wouldn't actually say that's anything you would need to be worried about because that's not the game. This is not a game about like who all these NPCs are. This is a game about you, the character, being a hero and hopefully helping to save the world, and we'll have to see what happens as the expansions go on further. But now you're aware of it.
Now, look into my eyes. Could it be? Could you be?
I am not interested, little son. Try again when you've become a man.
Okay, and so the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is, obviously the characters have like the backstories. There can be some parts that are dark in this game. The game is about light versus dark. We're trying to achieve some kind of balance. There's various gods within this game, and eventually, almost with the lack of an idea of calling them super gods, the planet Hydaelyn and Zodiark, the moon in this case, are there's a story there. I don't want to get into the spoiler aspects of it here for you. It's pretty interesting, and we're going to expand on that here in the coming months with the next expansion. However, as far as it goes, the story I think is really interesting. It has a lot of really good moments. It has a lot of heroicness about it. It has a lot of sacrifice about it. It has a lot of trying to help clean up the sins of the past. Now, that's the story, and as you're playing it as a solo game. But the last thing I do want to hit on, and it is important to talk about, even though it represents pretty much a 0.00001% part of the population on certain areas. Basically, you're not going to run into this, but I want to make you aware of it, and it's the concept of ERP, and that stands for exotic roleplay. And what that is that you have various human players with their characters, and they're going off and they're doing roleplay of the exotic sort, and I'll let your imagination go from there. There obviously can't do certain things within the game, and it doesn't actually, I believe, violate any terms. The reason why I have to say is A, you need to know it exists. B, you have to seek it out. C, I've never seen it in the game, and I've been playing this for 8 years. So I want to talk about that, make you aware of it, because there's also various people like to kind of from the outside with various articles from various websites bring this up as some form of negative. They like to paint the various community as perverts in this regard. And for the most part, I would say that no, you're not going to see it. You're not going to run into it. You're not going to have to worry about it. If you're wondering why I'm bringing it up here, is that if you Google it, chances are you're going to find an article on these sites. And I wanted to be open, honest, and and direct with you. Again, you got to seek it out. I'm not going to tell you where to find it. You're probably never going to run into it. And especially if you are playing the game, the way it's designed from a PvE and even PvP perspective, it is again a super small segment of the population that's usually, when I say it, it's off in its own little house or what have you. That is the awkward thing, because it's okay, well, is it a real big thing? And it's not. So just note that. So I believe I've given you hopefully all the information. This game is fun. It can be very addictive. So just watch that. Set limits with any kind of media for your kids. And there's various recommendations different pediatric associations have. But the enjoyment is also, there is a sense of kind of accomplishment of quest, and the game continues to bring out even more story, even more quests, even more content for us all to enjoy. All in all, Final Fantasy XIV is a wonderful experience. I would highly recommend families who are interested in this type of game, interested in this fantasy kind of futuristic past fantasy, this hero fantasy, to be able to enjoy and play together. Like I said at the top of this video, check out the free trial if you're evaluating this video as a way to see if this is going to be something right for your kids, for your family, for yourself. It costs you nothing, and I think you're going to have a really fantastic time if you have different control schemes, and it's for both PlayStation, PC, and Mac. So guys, check it out. Like I think you might be pleasantly surprised. Again, hopefully the details about what is included in the game makes sense. And again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to have that conversation with you. But for Work to Game, my name's Brian. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Hey guys, it's me. Oh, well, if you don't know me, my name's Terry. I'm a beautiful Tyrannosaurus from Texas, and it just doesn't get more country than that. I tell you what, I grew up in these parts. I was resurrected by a ghost, and that ghost told me that I needed to come out and hang out on Work to Game's YouTube channel to tell everybody they should totally hit that thumbs up. Thumbs down make Terry hungry. It makes me hungry. You hear me? Hungry. Anyway, Terry, just keep it together. Keep it together, Terry. All right, guys. So, without doubt, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you haven't already to see more of me and my beautiful nose. Okay. All right. Good talking to you. I'll see you guys soon. See you real soon. Terry, the Tyrannosaurus from Texas.